Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather and today we're going to be doing the February book club reading vlog where I read the books from the Book Troop, Literary Dode Book Club, and Ravished by Romance. I actually have a library hold for one of them. I have one physical copy of the books that we're going to be reading in this, and then I have the other one on my Kindle. We'll go ahead and start with the Reformatory, and this is I think it is a historical horror book about the Jim Crow laws in 1950, where this boy gets sent to a school for boys, and it ends up being a haunted building, and he just has to go through a lot. And it says, in order to survive this, the sadistic school warden and the evils in the school, Robert must enlist the help of the school's ghosts. So we already know that this reformatory is going to be haunted, but the people in the reformatory that are running it are the major problems. I've heard that this is a really, really intense book, and it talks a lot about, of course, racism. It's going to talk about family. It's going to talk about coming of age, all of those things. I have the audiobook for this on Scribd as well, and I'm very excited to get into it. I read my first book by this author last year and I absolutely loved it, so I'm excited to get into this book. The next book we have is Out There Screaming. Oh, this one's for the Book Troop, by the way. Next one is Out There Screaming, which is where I have to go to the library to get it because my library had it. And it is a black anthology, horror anthology, and I'm very, very excited about that. And then the last book that we have for the Ravished by Romance that I'm going to be reading is the Book of Ezreal, and I believe that it is a dark paranormal romance or dark fantasy romance, one of the two. I haven't really looked at it, but I'm excited to read it. I want to go into it not knowing a whole lot because I like doing that with my dark romances. But anyways, that's what we're going to be reading for this book. I'm going to take you along with me to get Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele, and we're just gonna go through it. Just got to the library and I didn't realize that it was used book sale day. So I might get, might buy some books too, but yep, I am here. Library. So let's go pick up Out There Screaming. Alright, I got it. Yay! I'm glad I have it in my possession now. And I'm super excited that we are reading this book this month for the book club. I haven't read an anthology in a really long time, so I'm excited to get into this one. So yeah, just wanted to show you that and let you know that I got the book in my hands and I am so excited about it. Here to fill you in and let you know I'm 50% into Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele. I have some mixed feelings about this so far. I've had 2 5 stars, 4 stars, and then a lot of 2s. So I enjoyed Eye and Tooth by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I gave that 5 stars. I've also really enjoyed the other one by Violet Allen. I've never heard of that author before, but I liked their writing style as well. So it's been kind of a mixed bag so far. I didn't like the first story at all. Not really. Sorry. It was, I don't know. But yeah, so there are I'm having some mixed feelings in here. I don't typically read anthologies all that much, but I like this one for the reason that I'm getting to know some new authors that I've never heard of before. There are some authors in here that I have heard of before and that I have read from before too. So yeah, it's been interesting so far. But yeah, just wanted to fill you in and let you know that I'm halfway through this and I'm going to continue reading it. I've also started listening to the Reformatory on Scribd. This is my book that I've been listening to while I've been working. So it's awesome so far. Well, I wouldn't say awesome. It's really good so far because, it's this author. So this is about a boy named Robert Stevens Jr. who gets sent to this reformatory school, and the reformatory school is, their warden is a sadistic person, and Robert is going to have to get with the ghosts of the school to try to survive because it is haunted, and you know that going into it. But the adults in this book are horrible people, and it's during the Jim Crow's laws in the 1950s in Florida, so that should give you a heads up on what that even looks like. And I'm also started reading the Book of Azrael last night. I only got to the second chapter before I fell asleep, but this is a high fantasy romance, and I'm only on the second chapter, so I don't really know what to tell you, but I just want to let you know that I am reading all three of these books at the same time. Plus I'm also reading a different one for different videos. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and just wanted to fill you in. Hello, I'm finally updating you on this video. I finished this last night. I'm giving it a 4-star. All of the, like, I averaged it together, and all of the stories in here came out to 3.5, but just because I liked over half of the stories in here, I either gave them a 4 or a 5-star. Figured I'm gonna round this up to a 4. So I really did enjoy this for the most part. Most of the stories that I read in here were around a 4. But then I also had like a couple 1s and a couple 2s. My favorite stories that were in here were Eye and Tooth, I believe. Let me double check very quick. I think it's Eye and Tooth. Yes, Eye and Tooth. And let me just open the book. Yeah, Eye and Tooth, and that is like a paranormal-y, supernatural story. I also really liked the other one. I liked A Bird Sings by the Etching Tree. I really liked that one. And there were like I said, there were a lot of 4s in here too, but then there are a lot of, I guess I could hold the book, but then there were also a lot of authors in here that I've never heard from before, or heard of before, that I'm going to continue with because I really like their writing style. And like I said, overall it was a really good experience. I haven't read an anthology in a while, so there's that. But yeah, 4-star. I would recommend this to you if you're looking for a good Black author horror anthology, especially that has a really good lineup of authors. I realized that all of the paranormal supernatural ones were my favorite, obviously, and then the more like speculative horror was kind of hit or miss for me in here. So psychological horror was up there too with the ones that I liked, but yeah, so those are that. I'm also 30% into the Book of Azrael, and so far so good. I'm enjoying that one too. There's not a lot of romance that's happening so far. We're just now getting into like what the main characters, I can't remember her name at the moment, what the main character's powers are, what her whole role is in society. This is a fantasy paranormal romance as well, and we found out about her sister and why she only gets to see her sister at certain times, because she is basically trapped. Like, our main character is trapped in this world because of something, and she saved her sister, so she has to do a lot of bidding that she doesn't want to do. But overall, I'm enjoying it so far. It's a longer book, it's pretty fast paced, and I'm getting through it pretty quickly. And then I'm also reading The Reformatory. I started listening to that one over again because I started listening to it last week, but then, surprise, the baby came last week. So I've been not reading as much, obviously, because it was the baby, you know, the baby came. And I started listening to that one again last night. Got about 10% into it, so not really that far in, but I can tell that this one's it's gonna be a hard-hitting book, and it's going to be one of those books that I'm gonna fly through. And the narrator is really, really good, so I like her too. But yeah, so that's my update on this video. The baby's here. I'm 50% in wow, the lighting. There we go. I'm 50% into the Book of Azrael, and so far so good. Usually I do not like a lot of world building in my fantasy romances, but in this one I'm not minding it too much because there is a lot of background and the world is huge. So I'm actually kind of enjoying the world building in this one. I'm also enjoying Diana and Liam separately. Liam is very brooding. He's got a lot of PTSD going on, got a lot of guilt going on because of what happened in his past. Diana, she is a force to be reckoned with. She's a very powerful being. She's not human. She was human, but she's not. She's just a very powerful being, and Liam and her, because of the species that they are, they don't like each other at the very beginning. So it's kind of like an enemies to lovers thing. But I think it's going to be like more of enemies to lover, or enemies to friends to lovers, because they are really communicating now. They have to work together to try to find this book before somebody else does. And just the overall chemistry that they have, even though it's a lot of like, I don't like you, I think you're annoying and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot, there's a lot more finesse to that. But they are actually starting to, I think, kind of enjoy each other's company a little bit because they're on a road trip right now. And Diana just figured out something about Liam where she can actually help him through it. So it is long, but it's a quick read so far. But yeah, I'm 50% into it and I am enjoying it. I'm liking it a lot. It's kind of reminding me of some of my other dark romances that I read in the past, like my fantasy romances, just like the style of it and everything like that. So it's written very nicely. The banter is really good. The side characters are really good. The action's on point. I'm loving that part of it too. So liking it so far. 51% in. When I'm finished with it, I'll let you know how I feel overall. So I am halfway through the reformatory and I am intrigued so far. It's actually really sad. It's a very, very sad story about this little boy named Robert who is 12 years old, and he is sent to a reformatory school because of something that happened. He was trying to protect his sister against a white boy, and the white boy's dad is like super high in society where they live, and he gets sent 6 months to a reformatory school for white and black boys who are considered troubled, I guess you could say. And there are some pretty graphic scenes of Robbie in this school. One scene was of him being whipped, and that was a really, really hard scene to read through. But we're also following his sister Gloria, who's trying to get him out of the reformatory school because the reformatory is notorious for beating children going missing there, and all of the above. And the warden, he's not a very good person whatsoever. He is just, he's a horrible human. And I believe that there are some very evil things that have not come to the surface yet. Literally halfway through, this book is pretty big, and the scenes that we're getting of Robert in the reformatory, you're also getting to see what they called haints. But haints are actually spirits of boys that have passed away at this reformatory school. And some of the side characters, like at one point there's this guy named Boone, and at one point, like, you think you can trust him, but then he does stuff that's pretty horrible. And he does stuff to the boys there because he's required to. It's his job. And there's this thing that everyone says, like, when you go to the reformatory, your true self gets unleashed and the horrible evil side of yourself gets released, because you know everybody has good and bad in them, and the bad is what gets released when you're at the reformatory school. But Robert, he does have 2 friends there, which has been good for him in a way, but everybody's just trying to survive. Like everybody, even his sister is trying to survive and just trying to make sure that she's doing right by her brother. And it's a very, very sad story. And I believe that it is very important too. This is real life horror, even though that it does have a supernatural aspect to it. It's just the horrors of what people had to go through during this time and what people still go through in the present day. So it's a very sad story, but it's told in a way where the author is able to just write in a beautiful way and is able to convey people's feelings, and you really do feel that through this book so far. And yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty highly rated book. I hope the book goes the way that I want it to go and not the other way. Really hope so, because Robbie, he needs to get out of there. He needs to get out. But I also finished the Book of Azrael, so we're going to switch gears a little bit, going from a story like this to a story like this. So Book of Azrael is about Diana and Liam, and Diana has been taken by this guy named Caden, and Caden is not a very good person either, but he was able to turn Diana into this very, very powerful being, and she's able to transform herself into anything that she wants to be turned into. She's got a lot of powers. She's just very, like I said, powerful. Then we also have Liam, who is considered the world ender, and he is a god. He's immortal. Well, they're both immortal, but he's immortal, and he is actually ostracized himself from his people because of something that happened in the past. He's having trouble controlling his powers. He's having all of these nightmares and everything, and him and Diana are straight enemies. They were born to hate each other, basically, but they have to come together as this ragtag team. They go on like a little road trip. They have really good banter. They're just like, I don't know, I just love their dynamics so much, and it's super slow burn. You only get like one steamy scene of them for real. You get more steamy scenes in the dreams that Diana has, because they're called blood dreams. She can drink people's blood and see their like thoughts and dreams and their past and stuff like that. So you get more steam in those. There's one scene that's pretty steamy between Liam and Diana, but Diana also has a sister. In the ending of this book, I was just like my jaw actually dropped. I was like, no, because Caden is a horrible human. Well, he's not human, but Caden is a horrible person. And all these other side characters too. I'm really interested in the entire world itself. There's one scene at the very beginning of this book where you get to see all these different creatures, and I'm really glad that the author did that, because it was a really cool setup. And usually I'm not a person that for like huge world buildings or like a lot of different species of things or anything like that, but in this book I ate it up just by the way that the author introduced everybody. It was really easy to comprehend, and yeah, I love this book. And obviously I'm talking highly of it, and I give it 5 stars. Immediately downloaded the second book, and I can't wait to get into it. This is making me want to read more fantasy romance, or romantasy, or whatever people are calling it now. And actually went to Barnes & Noble and bought some more romantasy books, because this book right here, I want to read romantasy a lot, and I can't wait to get into the second book. So 5 stars for this one. Super excited about it. Super excited to continue on with this. The third book is coming out in May, so I want to get the second book read, so when the third book comes out I can read it. There's supposed to be like 6 or 7 books in that particular series, but just wanted to fill you in, let you know that I finished that book, and I'm in the middle of reading this. I'm hoping to finish it in the next couple days. I'm a little bit behind on this video, so hopefully I can get this read and get this video up for you. And when I finish this book, I will let you know how I feel about it. Finally finished this book. Sorry for like all the stickers. My child decided that he wanted to stick them on my book, and yeah, so I finished this. I'm giving it 5 stars. because it was one of those books that just moved me the entire time. It did take me a while to get through this book because it is a very hard read, but it's a very important read, and just the overall storytelling of this book was fantastic. I thought that the beginning was a little slower, but I appreciated that because it set up the entire novel really, really well, and you were able to really feel all of the emotions, really get to know all the characters of this book. And by the end of it, you were like, I was so emotionally drained, but I was also still rooting for Robert and Gloria because they have been through so much, and Robert had to go through everything that he went through just because of a little kick. And knowing that these places actually existed and they still exist to this day is disgusting and heartbreaking. And yeah, it was just one of those books that, like, I think people need to read because it's important. And not everyone it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but just to know and get to feel what these characters felt, I thought is very, very, like I said, I keep saying it's very important. And yeah, to really understand that these reformatory schools are horrible places. They don't really reform anyone, honestly. And the author's note at the very end was very nice as well. Just talking about how this was inspired by, Robert was inspired by a true life relative of hers. And even though this story is fictional, there was a lot of research that went into the story. You can really tell. There are a few scenes where beatings happened and lashings happened, which were really hard to read about as well. It does get pretty graphic. This isn't like it. There are ghosts in here, so it does have supernatural paranormal aspects to it, but this is more horror based on real life. 5 stars. Is a really good book. It's not going to be for everybody. It's more of like a historical horror, so go into none of that. I mean, it's during the Jim Crow laws in Florida in the 1950s, so I would assume you would know going into it that it's more historical than anything. But yeah, so once again, fantastic storytelling and fantastic writing. And I cried quite a bit in this book too, so I had to put it down a lot because of the content. It's very hard to read. Anyways, 5 stars. So that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a little bit longer to get through this because this book took me a little bit to get through, and you know, had a baby in February. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, what you thought of these books, if you're going to read these books based on the descriptions that I gave you or whatever. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!